Okay, this is lesson 1.2, overtime pay. You will need to make sure you have your 1.1, 1.2 note-taking guide, your writing utensil, and calculator. Please pause the video if you do not have those things. Sorry. We're going to be talking about how to figure out overtime pay. So the objective is to calculate straight time pay, overtime pay, and then what total pay you will get. So the three vocabulary for this assignment on your note-taking sheet are overtime pay, which is extra pay for hours worked beyond the regular number of hours. Time and a half is overtime pay rate of 1.5 times the regular hourly rate. And double time, that's when you get twice the regular hourly rate. I also would want you by these two words, half time, is if it says time and a half, you're always going to multiply it times 1.5. And if it's double time, you're always going to be multiplying it times 2. So you want to also put these two items next to those two words on your vocabulary sheet. Again, pause the video and make sure you've written down all of the vocab words. Okay, when you work more than the regular number of hours, you may earn overtime pay. The overtime rate is called time and a half. It usually is 1.5 times your hourly rate. You may receive an overtime pay rate of double time or twice your regularly hourly rate. Employers often pay double time for Saturdays and holidays. To calculate the overtime pay, remember this. You're going to take your overtime pay times the overtime hours worked, and then your total pay is your straight time pay, which you normally would get, plus your overtime pay. You're adding those two together. So for this lesson, I have found it very helpful to write it in 3 different steps. Okay, and you have these steps on your note-taking guide. So the step 1, so it looks just like this, find your straight time pay. So we just did that in 1.1. Take your hours worked, okay, times your hourly rate. Now you're going to find your overtime pay. So you're going to take your hourly pay time. So if it says time and a half, you're going to write 1.5 in here. If it says double time, you're going to write 2. Most of the time, most of our lessons have our 1.5, their time and a half. Sometimes people get double time, but I'm just going to, most people, you will get time and a half. And then it is the number of overtime hours, okay, worked. Okay, my pen isn't working the best, but this is HOURS, hours worked, okay? So think of this right here as a number. So let's say you got 5 hours of overtime. That number would go in here. If you got 6, that number would go in here. So you're taking, for step 2, you're taking your hourly pay times 1.5 or 2 times your hours worked, okay? Then you have a step 3, where you're going to find your straight time pay. So you're going to write straight here, plus your overtime pay. Okay, so after you, this is really like step 1 plus step 2. So you take your, what you got from step 1 and write it there. What you take from step 2 and write it there and add them together. And then you're going to have your gross pay for that time period. So if it's 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month, however you get paid, that's how they would figure that out. Please make sure you have your notes filled in on this. I would definitely, if you need to, write step 1 and step 2 below here. Then also on your note-taking sheet, there is this example. And I find this example very helpful because if you don't know what to do, you just go back and what does it say for step 1? So Alan Moore is paid $8.20 an hour for a regular 40-hour week. as a restaurant host. His overtime rate is 1.5 times his regularly hourly rate. This week, he worked a regular 40 hours plus 10 hours of overtime. What is his total pay? So if I don't know what to do, I'm going to look at step 1 here. Hourly rate. Okay, this is where I got this right here, right? 40 hours worked. That was right here. Okay, multiply them together and I get my straight time pay. Then, because it's 1.5, okay, so that's also written 1.5, which might be something to add to your notes. Because in the calculator, I mean, you can use your ABC key and put 1 ABC key, 2 ABC key, 3, 2, 1, 2, I'm sorry. Use it to put the fraction, or you just same as 1.5. Okay, so taking 1.5 times 820 times his amount of overtime. And for overtime, he got paid 123 hours, $123. Now, you're just adding from step 1 to step 2 and adding it together for his total pay. So unlike straight time pay, which is step 1, we've now, to find overtime pay, added 3 steps. So when you do your practice, okay, it's like a chart and it has you figure out each one of these steps. Okay, and then there are some other problems that you work at the bottom. So it's really important that you're using your notes, okay, and the formulas to be able to find your overtime pay. Okay, and so you can go on to your practice and then your mastery check.